Manic Monday, everybody. We are back with this guy and your host of Moving the Chains podcast. How are we doing, everybody? We've got a long, lengthy podcast today. I'm recording this. We got the doubleheader going on. My Raiders playing in less than a couple hours. Trying to get fired up, trying to get ready to go. We got Bucks, Texans, Buccaneers are leading right now. Baker, the moneymaker, Mayfield, my doppelganger, falling out. Just hit Amika Ibuka from the Ohio State University to put the Bucks on top 14-10. I will give you guys my reaction to that game tomorrow, along with my Raiders game, which is weird because I usually give it on Wednesday, but Raiders got a Monday night game. So, last night's game between McCarthy-Penix, rematch of the 2023 National Championship game, which J.J. McCarthy won. Michael Penix gutted it out, hearted it out, all that, lost. But last night was different. So, J.J. McCarthy has played 8 quarters of football. And he's been bad 7 of them. Now, look, I'm not going to take... I could pile on the kid, and I could bang on him all day. But he was bad last night. There's no other way around it. Minnesota's offensive line got beat up last night. I was impressed with Atlanta, and I'll get to them in a second. Atlanta really impressed me. Jeff Ulbrich and that defense getting after him last night, bringing exotic blitzes. It was kind of a cat-and-mouse game for most of that game last night between the Falcons and the Vikings because you had 2 defensive coordinators that just are swarming with everybody coming. Jailbreak blitz. Rush 8, drop 7. I said that last time with Brian Flores' defense. But last night, to me, was more about J.J. McCarthy. And this kid looks overwhelmed. And look, again, I'm not trying to bang on him. And again, I'm rooting for him. My dad was looking up. He's like, well, he went to Nazareth where Matt Schiffler went to school? Like, he didn't know that. So, I am pulling for the kid. And I think he's a good kid. He's got leadership and all that. And that's great in story. But you got to play the games. And I just, with this team, my one word with the Vikings right now is growing pains. And now he's out for 3 weeks because his ankle's out. So now it puts him behind the 8 ball in his development because he sat out all last year because he got hurt in the preseason. Not all his fault. Then he rehabbed, got everything right, and now he's back to the same old. So it's just a lot to digest here. And, again, I think they could go. They got a good enough team, I think, with Carson Wentz to kind of weather the storm a little bit. And maybe their offense looks a little bit better. Maybe Carson Wentz has kind of grown up. I still can't believe he's in the league. I mean, the last time I saw him was 2021. He was with the Colts. And they shit the bed the last 2 games. One being we beat the Colts in Indy. I guess I'm the good luck charm because every time I go down to the Colts, when the Raiders play, they win. So I don't know what to make of this Carson Wentz story with the Vikings. I will say, though, and sticking on that game, Joe Burrow's out for three months. Just absolutely terrible. He's starting to turn into Andrew Luck to me. Great talents, but and again, they just, the Bengals, to me, they kept all those guys around because of Joe Burrow. They got Jamar Chase. They got T. Higgins. Trey Hendrickson came back because of Joe Burrow, and now it's shot. I don't know what the Bengals do from here. Listen, they got 3... Their next couple games are brutal. They got to go to Green Bay. They got Baltimore. They got Minnesota coming up, which that's not going to be an easy task because Penix got pepper last night a couple times, and that defense was getting after him. I just think with Minnesota right now, tread water. You're 1-1. You're not 0-2. That's a start. But with Kevin O'Connell, I know what he wants to do. He wants to sling that pill, and I just thought J.J. McCarthy, it's like driving a Ferrari, dude. You got every toy at your disposal, but I just still think he's just not ready yet. And maybe him being out for 3 weeks, maybe gives him, kind of can sit back and relax. And, I'm happy for him. He just had a baby, so that kind of threw his week off a little bit. Not going to make an excuse for that matter. But be that as it may, Minnesota just looked absolutely out of sorts last night at home. Jared Allen was there, the atmosphere, it's a skull chant. I don't like the Vikings, but that was just a cool vibe last night. But my guy, the main guy that I honed in on 2 years ago in college football was Michael, the man, Penix last night. Jackson reported to his name as Penis. I'm not going to go that route. But I will say this. He can sling that pill, man. When you give him a clean pocket, and that's rare in this league, he can slice and dice you with any of them. And I told my dad's friend, Marchapius, and I told a couple other people, I'll never forget going down to the combine. I've said the story millions of times, and I'll keep repeating it because I don't sugarcoat shit. He was one of the best pure throwers I've ever seen live. I've seen Mahomes live. I've seen Derek Carr could sling that pill. Pretty good arm strength. But, man, something about Penix and the way he's a lefty and he's just slinging that pill and just comes out like crisp. It's something of beauty. And they got weapons in Atlanta. They finally got Kyle Pitts involved last night. So I just was very intrigued by Atlanta. Their defense really impressed me last night because I've been screaming this for the last couple of years. And I ran into some Falcon fans when I was down at the Combine. When's the pass rush? Where is it? They keep putting resources into attack McKinley. They tried going and get pieces. Vic Beasley had that one great year with Atlanta on the way to the Super Bowl when they blew it. But be that as it may, I saw growth last night. And I just look at Atlanta. Listen, they're interesting. Like, I think them and Tampa are going to finish 1-2 in the division. If I'm looking back at my notes here, I got to look here. I did have, got it here. If I'm looking here, sorry, I'm getting this confused. What was it? I think I have it here. If I don't have it, but I remember saying, I'll have to look at it another time. But my point is, I did think that Atlanta would be in the mix. I would take them over at New Orleans right now. Carolina looked impressive yesterday. Bryce Young is a fighter. He kept fighting. Even though they're 0-2, they're in games right now. And listen, I'm not the biggest Ted McMillan guy, but he can play. So we'll see what happens with Carolina. But right back to Atlanta, I just was really impressed last night with Jeff Ulbrich and that defense getting after J.J. McCarthy. Their offensive line's awful right now. It's a sieve. They can't block a soul right now in Minnesota. And a lot of that's Christian Darrisaw, the all-pro tackle. Him being out really hurts them. I saw it last year in the Ram game. The first matchup, but then the second one in the playoffs they were getting eviscerated. So I do think Minnesota's going to be okay. Just to recap that game. And then Atlanta's interesting. I think if they can keep continuing to evolve on offense with Zach Robinson and Kyle Pitts and Bijan and Drake London. And the other thing I wanted to touch on, because I think Michael Penix got a beautiful deep ball. Beautiful deep ball. They need to get some big, some down-the-field threats for him. And I just don't think this offense is conducive to Michael Penix's strengths. They're making it work. I'm not disputing that. And they can put up points. And Bijan had a big night last night. But my knock on it is, where's the deep threat? Where's the Tyreek Hill, a burner down the field? You just, hit a quick slant and it's house call. And I don't sense that with Atlanta. If they can go get that at trade deadline or something, maybe A.J. Brown, get him a big body kind of guy for Michael Penix. Watch out. Atlanta could be dangerous. So that's my 2 cents on that game. So I'm going to touch on the Bears game. That was awful yesterday. That was absolutely pitiful yesterday from Chicago. I feel for Bear fans, as I do every year. I know they get a lot of crap because it's the offseason kings, and we hype them up, and I get it. But there was a sliver of hope in me that thought Ben Johnson might turn Caleb Williams around. That's not the case anymore. This marriage does not work. Caleb he's Kyler Murray. I'm just going to come out and say it. That's what he is now. He's never going to wow you. He's just going to leave you disappointed. I think the biggest disappointment for me is Ryan Poles, general manager. He's done an awful job, and I mean terrible job. He's 15-38, and you gave him an extension. In what freaking universe is that acceptable? No, absolutely not. And I just can't wrap my brain around. You took Colston Loveland over Tyler Warren again. So the Bears have done this twice. You had Mitch Trubisky. You took Trubisky over Mahomes. That's haunted you. And now you take Loveland over Ty Warren, who yesterday looked like a beast. He was All-American. And I like Colston Loveland. But what are we doing? So there's got to be some, I heard this quote yesterday. I think it was on 670 The Score in Chicago. And I think it was Lawrence Holmes or somebody like that. And he's saying the Bears aren't cursed in terms of just can't ever win. They're cursed in terms of incompetence, and it's facts. I mean, Kevin Warren's your president, so you got to relate to him. But you got a GM and the coach. It's just a weird, messed up shit show. That's all I can say. And I hate banging on the Bears because I got family there and I love you guys. But I feel for you. And it's just frustrating for me because I look at the Bears and I've been watching this game my whole life, 17 years, going on 18. It's crazy. But I just sit back, and the Bears have always had talent in my eyes. They always have. Really good defenses. But they just, for some reason, can't get the offense side of the ball right. I don't know why. They just can't. They have a blind spot to it. I don't know. They're like the Steelers right now. Steelers put all this money into defense, but it's overpaid. I mean, they've given up 400 yards in 2 games against Justin Fields and Sam Darnold. And the Bears gave up, I wrote this down today. It was on pardon my take. It was 694 yards and 73 points in the last 5 quarters, Chicago. What is this? You pay all these guys on defense. Your corner, Jalen Johnson's out. He's a stud. And he's out. Tyreek Stevenson, who's an absolute shitbird, who had that incident in Washington last year on the Hail Mary. Don't know how the hell he's still on the team, but whatever. It's just a mess. And it comes back to this. I believe this to be true. The Bears are who we thought they were. They just, to me, they just don't get it. And I'm pulling for Ben Johnson because I think he's a smart guy, and I really do. But I believe this to be true. If he sucks again, Caleb Williams, Tyson Bagent is going to start for the Bears. I'm telling you right now, that's his kind of guy. Because here's the thing with the Bears in this offense and why it sucked, and I can't figure it out. Because I'm watching Bo Nix in Denver. He's spraying that ball around. He's getting his backs involved. He's getting Troy Franklin involved from Oregon, his buddy at Oregon. He's getting Marvin Mims involved from Oklahoma. I'm watching this point guard kind of stuff here, and here. And Caleb just force-feeding to Rome, and he's a good player. No doubt about it. I love watching him in Washington. But I don't get it. And I think the Bears did a bad job. And listen, you're going to take Caleb regardless. But to not interview any other guys and not bring them in is kind of appalling to me. For a guy that's 15 and 38 in 3 years in Chicago. That's embarrassing. And this organization needs a clean. It needs a deep freaking clean. Because it is a joke. I feel for Bear fans and love basking in misery. But I feel for you. This reminds me of 2014. And I know Jason Lewis and a couple other people that I know that are Bear fans. I know you don't want to talk about it. But it is looking like that. Where you don't, I mean, their defense doesn't know what they're doing. They're missing assignments. They're missing gaps. They're not knowing where they're at. They're playing cover 2 one time and they're playing cover 1. They're not on the same page. It's so bad. And this quarterback is not it. And Sammy was right again. Yep, Sammy was right. Where Sam was right, I was right. I said he was a bust, and I'm true on that statement. Maybe he turns around. I don't know. But the way this offense is, it's timing-based, and Caleb is doing dumb shit again. He's, drop back, see what's open. But he can't see the field. So he's got a Trubisky feel again in Chicago. Same movie, same shit again. So, and listen, Detroit, you deserve that win. You knew it was going to be an emotionally charged game for you because of Ben Johnson. He's coming home. He's coming back. You want to stick it to him, even though he's your buddy. You want to kick his ass. I believe it. And the Lions, listen, they are not as bad as they were week 1. They were not. This team is stacked offensively. They have got dudes everywhere. And here's the other thing. Everybody was complaining, and I'm with him, on the Lions last year when they were decimated with injuries. Mike Kesnick knows everything about it, the biggest Lions fan I know, along with Derek Solomon. But my point is, they've drafted so well, and they've hit. That's the difference between them and the Niners. The Niners had all these guys hurt. They don't have any depth because they don't draft well. So, and the Bears are in the same boat. They don't draft well. I mean, they took that Velus Jones kid. He was a bust. And I just think Poles, he's just getting a free pass. I wouldn't have extended him. I mean, he just hasn't done enough for me to where I go, ooh, damn, that's a really good move by Chicago. That's a good signing. So, dark days in Chicago, and it's going to get uglier before it gets better soon. I want to touch on the Cowboy-Giant game. That was the last game I wanted to touch on tonight. I was really impressed by the Cowboys. And I hate saying that because I'm a Cowboy hater. I've been since 2007. And it's all because Jerry Jones. I just think he's a modern-day Al Davis. It's just getting bad. And the facts are still true. Brian Schottenheimer would not have gotten another job, offensive coordinator or coach job, with any other team besides Cowboys. He just wouldn't have. That's just the way that it was leaning out. But I will say this, within 2 weeks, their defense is so bad. And listen, I'll get to their defense in a second and what I think is going to happen. But the way that Dak and CeeDee Lamb and their run game, Javonte Williams has found a new spot in Dallas. Maybe he might be their guy. I don't know. But, man, their offense can put up points. And listen, George Pickens is a hard guy to coach. I'm sorry, but that guy's a shitbird, okay? He's in at one time, and he's not. He's kind of in and out player. But when he's locked in, he makes plays, and he's a stud. No question about it. And maybe he needed out of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's just bad right now. They're like the Bears. They just need a clean house, get that stench out, stop spending so much on defense, have a half and half, get cheap on defense, fast, young, and cheap on defense, but spend your money on offense. And the Bears and Steelers are the same boat. Although Steelers are better run than the Bears. But my point is, going back to Dallas, listen, they took a lot of shit, and I blame them, with the Micah Parsons thing. And listen, that's going to haunt them for this year. But they got a lot of picks coming up in Dallas. And if I'm like the Cowboy fan, I'm going, we could use a new quarterback. Listen, I like Dak, he's fine. But at some point, you got to get a new quarterback. Dak's what he is. But I do think you have a lot of draft capital that you could use. And, it could build this thing up again. And they draft, and I hate saying this, because Cowboys do one thing really well. They draft linebackers, they get O-line and D. They draft that position really well. And they get it right. And I think the scouting department's done a very good job, Will McClain and those guys. So I think Dallas is going to be okay. They're going to be an intriguing team. They're not going to stop anybody. They can be a fun watch. And I think with Dak and CeeDee Lamb and all those guys, it's fun watch. So keep an eye on the Cowboys and the Giants. It was a gut-wrenching loss yesterday. Russell Wilson, last name Wilson, first name Russell, looked like Seattle Russ, dropping moonballs yesterday, looked like a beast. And Malik Neighbors, I said this again, he's a shitbird. But that guy is an absolute war daddy and a hoss. That guy's a badass. Him and Brian Thomas are awesome. And we all saw Brian Thomas, Jacksonville. Jeez, that's a shit show. Waving off the coach. Whatever. But my point is, Giants, listen, they're going to play Jackson Dart at some point. And if I'm Brian Daboll, it's just that game yesterday, it's just a lot of dumb shit. I'm seeing the backup left tackle having 4 false starts and throwing a fight, and it's just undisciplined. But that game was fun to watch yesterday. So stay out for the Giants. They got a good team. I think Giants and Cowboys are going to shock some people. I still think Dallas will be a good 4th-place team in this division. But don't be shocked if the Giants kind of surprise some people, because I think they got really good talent on offense, and their defensive line can get after people. So that's all I wanted to touch on tonight. It was a very long podcast. Hope you guys are doing well. Adios. Godspeed.